I'm going to do a mini gouache painting of a landscape. The reference is my own, and I've used Winsor & Newton gouache in my Stay Wet palettes. The paper I'm using is cold press. So welcome to my YouTube channel. For those that haven't seen my channel before, I like to do some gouache paintings and some pastel paintings using pan pastels and pastel pencils. I have a playlist of other mediums that I use as well, so go and have a look if you haven't already. So in this painting, I thought I would start off with a very light wash just to get some colour down. You're probably thinking, wow, she's got a lot of colours. Yeah, I do. You can't have enough. So at the moment I'm trying to keep the paint thin by just adding water. I'm trying to draw the bits in that I need. There's my little path, just like that. And I've got the tree line that I want to work on. That's what's going to get rid of the half and half look. But really, I think I sort of wasted my time doing the tree line, because it sort of disappeared in the end anyway. But I didn't have any plan at all when I was doing it. I just thought, I just want to do some painting. I like this photo that I've taken, and I just went straight in, no plan. But, you know, sometimes it's good to go in with no plan, see what happens. You know, I'm not going to sell the picture. I was just having a bit of fun. I'm working with no plan, where it's a bit of hit and miss. It either turns out lovely or it doesn't. But with my motto, even if it's not turning out right, keep going, because I find it that it's more practice for yourself, and you might work out in the end. And you never know unless you keep going. And even with pieces while I'm painting it, like this one, and I'm just like, oh, it's not really looking the way I want it to look. I really should have done it this way, but never mind. I'm just going to keep going on. And I always finish every project that I do, because you just don't know if it's going to be awesome or not. So you'll have to see at the end if you think it was awesome or not. So I want to get this grass looking a little bit more colour like grass, because it was just putting me off. So I went over with the same colour but with just more pigment this time, less water. But it's not too thick. I still wanted it thin, because if you're going to paint over the top and it's too thick, then when you do paint over the top, it just turns into mud because it starts reactivating. So I just keep it thinner underneath. And I wanted to see if I can get a bit of, well, not quite texture, but patchiness through it, because with some grass, and my grass, it does look patchy, not like perfect green anyway. I think it would have been better if I used a bigger flat brush. It's taken me a while with that little one to get this area done. But I didn't even think about it at the time. Oh well, at least it gets done anyway. at this point, I'm quite pleased with the grass at the moment. I do give it texture later on in the painting, and just want to get the other side of the path done. But then once I've done that, it looks like my path sort of disappeared, because it just looks like a very thin strip of grey paint. But it does get better. You can always correct with gouache, because you can go light on dark and dark on light. It's quite a lovely medium to work with. I enjoy working with it. So I'm back working with this tree line, putting all this little detail in that I really didn't need to do, because I could have just done that with a blurry look. I could have just sort of dampened the paper a bit and just drop in some colours like you do with watercolour. But no, I spent all this time dilly-dallying with the details and thought, need to put some dark in there now, get a little bit darker, get some depth in there, and all this work that I did on this tree line. And then I paint over it. And that's what happens when you don't have a plan. But it doesn't matter, I still did it in the end. It doesn't look too bad at this point. Saying to myself, don't give up, keep going. So I'm going to start painting the mid of the painting, not the foreground, but in the middle. I think you call it mid. Just to get this little tiny tree at the back, and then I'm going to have a tree in front of that, and then another tree in front of the other one. So it's sort of three, but this one, you don't really quite see it in the end. I've got this brush that you can see I'm using. It's a very stiff brush, and it's really good for dabbing on the paint for foliage. And you can see that I just went straight over all those details that I did in that tree line. But I think it looks a bit better doing that. I needed to put some of those darks back in again on that tree line, because it is quite noticeable in the end, and it would look a bit weird if I didn't, because it would just sort of mould into the grass if I didn't. I'm going to start painting the next tree in. It's still in the mid-ground. This tree is actually quite pretty because it's autumn, so it's got autumn leaves on that. Otherwise, the whole painting is just going to be green and grey. And it was a different shape tree I was trying to get. I thought if I put the branches in first and place a tree, so drawing, and then what I will do next as well is I'm going to draw the branches for the tree in the foreground as well before I start putting all the leaves on everything. I do enjoy drawing trees and painting trees, but I don't know what the names of this tree and the next one is called. So if I'm painting it good enough and you can identify what type of tree it is, you have to let me know in the comments. I used a mid-tone for the tree that I'm painting at the moment, for the trunk and the branches, because later on I want to put some real dark areas on the trunk and some light areas, and it will give it more of a 3D look. And I'll also do the same for this tree that I'm painting as well, just getting the mid-tone in, and then I will do the darks and lights after. The paint consistency, I'm now using it just a little bit thicker, more like toothpaste thickness, or maybe just a little bit thinner than toothpaste, because I still need to then paint on top of this as well. But I'm trying to make sure that this tree that I'm painting now looks like it's in the foreground, because at the moment they both look like they're standing beside each other. I did actually found that a little bit difficult, because I think that the middle tree, I made it a little bit too big, but oh well. I just have to make sure that this foreground tree has got more detail in it than the middle tree, so that will bring that forward then. I'm thinking about it again. Just don't give up, keep going. Painting branches, you can go on forever. And I had to sort of really think, oh, I better not do too many of these. I'm going to get too carried away here. The sky will remain that grey, gloomy colour because, well, our sky in the UK looks mostly like that all the time. You might get a little bit of blue in the summer, but most of the time our sky just looks like that. So now I'm starting to put some details in the trunk here and some of the branches, put some of the lights in, and the other tree I'll darken bits up and lighten up as well, just so it doesn't look too flat, trying to get the shape to make it look a bit more rounding. I hope you're enjoying the video so far. If you are, can you give me a thumbs up please, and subscribe if you haven't already. So, by looking at the shapes of those two trees so far, has anyone guessed what they're called? Because I still don't know. I know it looks like I'm actually scrubbing away there. It looks like I'm painting it over and over again, and you're thinking, why isn't the paint reactivating? But I'm only just brushing over the top of the dried paint. I think I'm tickling it too much really. It's definitely starting to look much better with those highlights painting in there and those very darks. And now I'm coming in with some nice colour at last, so which is not green. I'm using a nice, well, it's not magenta, it's Limson Crimson, and I think I've got like a really dark version of it. And then to lighten it up a bit, I do have a touch of white in there, but I don't want it to look too pale. I was getting a little bit excited painting these. I thought I'd last some pretty colour, but then I think I got a bit carried away. This is at the point where I start painting over the background, you know, the tree line at the back. So same with the leaves that I'm painting, them, not printing them. Well, I'm painting them with a mid colour, and then I go in again like I do with everything else with a darker colour and the lighter colour, just to give it some depth. So I haven't finished with the red tree yet. I just needed them to just dry a bit, and I was eager to start painting on this one as well, because these are completely different colours. Some nice yellow ochres. There was still some green leaves left on this one as well, but it was a little bit more naked than the red tree. That's a good word, naked tree. Trying to get this tree to overlap the other one. And can you see my tree lines starting to disappear? I know it's showing through the red tree at the moment, and it doesn't look great at the moment, but it does get better. I was definitely using the right brush for the leaves. It was just a perfect size, and I was just literally just dabbing the shapes on. At this point, the grass looked a bit weak. I'm not sure what I meant by weak, so I just needed to just brush over another layer on it just to make it look a little bit thicker, and then carry on painting these green leaves on this tree. I was going to say bush just a minute ago, now I've just said it. I should have just not said it at all. And this tree was really pretty. It's got really dark leaves in it, yellow leaves, yellow ochre, a real mix, like, because it was changing colour, but they hadn't quite all dropped off yet. Oh, goodbye tree line. It's almost gone. You can see my point, what I meant earlier, that I spent all that time with all those details, that tree line, and it's almost disappeared. At least next time, when I do another painting, I will know not to put too much detail in the back when I'm going to be painting over the top anyway. Live and learn, live and learn. Well, this one's not looking too bad now. It's I'm starting to feel happy about it. I just want to get some more dark greens in there, and probably bring back some yellow ochre as well. So back to the red tree and get some real darks in there, and maybe lighting some other areas up a little bit. I know I said this already, but the tree line's gone. So I've just been painting the fallen leaves in the grass, and I'm going to do grass texture as well, but I'm using a smaller, stiffer brush, but I'm still just sort of stippling it on, just dab, dab, dab. And to get some of the grass texture, I'm dabbing, using the brush sideways a little bit, just to get a little bit of length. So, finally finished it. I've actually used blue tack and stuck it on this bit of paper just so I didn't paint all over my table there. So what do you think? Like, too bad? At least I finished it. Thank you for watching, everybody, if you come to the end. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.